show brought to you by Worley's Home Services. They are the only people in Hampton Roads that we participate with. They, sorry about that. They do plumbing, heating, electrical, attic insulation. They do foam sealing. They do crawl space encapsulation. My name is Michael Davenport. Chuck is out on assignment. I think that's the way the
Yeah,
newspaper calls
it's
it.
assignment. Yep.
He's assigning
Busy
somewhere.
bee.
I think he's assigning something in Florida. But
Go
anyway,
figure.
the I am a partner at CVP Windows and Doors. We produce windows right here in the Hampton Roads market, both for the homeowner and for the custom builder. We are a guy that makes the windows the size of the hole that you like to have it fit in, and we also do thermotrue exterior doors. And the rest of the team is going to introduce themselves right now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Cindy Rao, owner operator of Alpha Pest Solutions, your full service termite and moisture company here in the area. We service from Richmond down to the Carolina border, out to Petersburg, past Matthews, and up past Saluda. So if you're in this area at all, we're happy to serve you. And we do everything from rodents to bugs to termites to understructure repairs. You name it, we do it. And just remember, I'm the only woman you'll ever know with a license to kill.
Thank you, Cindy. So
Welcome.
I'm Albin with Albin Co. We specialize in remodels, kitchens, baths. You call us up for your next remodel. We'll help you out. I would also like to introduce Jack with Legacy Painting. He was going to be in the show today, but he's got some customers that are needing some pricing. I think he's got some commercial jobs going on, and they are hot on him for getting some of the numbers from him. So he's got to put in a little bit of time tonight getting those out to his customers. So, and hope everybody can understand that. If you got a paint question, we'll be sure to get it to him. So, so call in. The lines are open, 757-627-7979, 757-627-7979. We're here. We are wanting to find out what your house is saying to you tonight. It maybe it's creaking, maybe it's squeaking, maybe you're getting a little drip here and there. You hear some kind of cadence in the wall, maybe a bug or a drop of water hitting at a certain
Something
cadence, or
scratching on the
some
walls.
weird thing going on with your fridge or your air conditioning system or your windows. You got cracks in your drywall, or you got something funky growing on the walls or in the crawl space or whatever. We want to hear about it, because remember, if you're calling in, we are going to try to answer that question, and that question that we answer or we get you connected to an expert with is a question that's actually going to help maybe answer some other people that are listening in. So you're not the only one that probably has the problem, and you're going to be helping. As we're trying to help you, you're going to be helping other people ask that question.
Exactly right, Alvin. The one thing that we are all about here is trying to help you solve issues that is about your house. That issue can be anything, like Alvin said. You can talk about the landscaping and how the grading should be. You can talk about your crawl space, and when a builder builds a house, he's supposed to have that crawl space graded up to where it is higher than the external grade, or he has to have a drainage system built into that crawl space to keep moisture down and out of that crawl space. You also can have Worley's call you, and he can encapsulate that crawl space to where it comes in with a heavy duty liner. I did that in my house, and it's like a place you could go live. They put lights in it, the whole 9 yards. And I'm going to give a plug here for Alvin. He is not kidding about doing it all. Buddy Chuck, and I've known Chuck for a long time, since 1993. Man, that is a long time.
Oh, he was a baby.
But Alvin went to Chuck's old farmhouse right here in Tab area of York County. And it's on 5 acres, which is the only 5-acre parcel, I think, that is in the county.
It's a nice sized piece of property for that location.
Nice. The horse was relocated to his son's new property over in Suffolk. And Alvin disassembled the house internally. The outside structure was still there. And this is a house that was built with real 2x4s. not the cut down version like we use
Yeah.
today.
Mhm.
And he,
Rough sawn timber.
yeah, exactly. And Alvin disassembled the house, redesigned the house, and now it is a quaint cottage. It's big enough for Chuck and his bride Julie, who's also on assignment with Chuck. and the
That's to keep
and
them
Alvin
straight.
did a fabulous job of putting that house back together. It's just it's a perfect place for people on a large piece of property. Because let's face it, the reality of life is we don't need huge mansions everywhere.
No.
We need a place that's comfortable and is what you want it to be. Julie got that huge tub she wanted. It looks out over the field where the deers are, and they
Mhm.
do actually. How many deers you ever see in that yard, Alvin? You
Actually, you know what? I haven't seen any.
Oh, wow.
you have it.
I have not
Well,
seen any deer. That's I don't know. Maybe my big truck scares them off
Well,
when I pull in or
might be when
something.
you're there, the
I
times
think
that you're there.
they came back because when the horse left.
Ah,
Because Julie told me she had seen a bunch of them out there a couple of times, but he built a nice outside deck entertainment area. He had a patio door coming out of the bedroom.
yeah, that
I
was the
mean,
door that you provided.
Yeah,
And you went the extra mile. The door's a lot taller than the normal
yeah,
one.
yeah. She wanted a little bit taller, and it worked out well. And it's a beautiful kitchen layout. They got.
You can do a lot with less space. You
Oh,
know, we
exactly.
got a lot of creature features in that house for as small as it is.
Yep, and it's right in the middle of the tab area of York County. It's very convenient in the interstate, so they didn't have to go out way out in the country in some desolate area. Because Chuck had picked up this piece of property many years ago and just held on to it. And he originally talked about building a nice big house, but after sitting down and talking with Alvin, he really didn't need a big house. He just needed a house that they wanted that made their life what they wanted to make it. And
Yeah, so-
Alvin did all of that. For
Yeah.
him.
So the process for that is I sit down and I like to talk to the customer, find out what they want, but I also make sure that they tell me what they don't want. It's a very important part of the process because sometimes I will start to steer a certain direction and I find out, after spending a lot of time on it, they don't want that feature. Like I have customers that they're just like, I don't want a garbage disposal, or I don't want a dishwasher, or it's kind of.
Yeah.
We build for the customer. We don't build for ourselves. And, I tell my employees that sometimes they'll say, well, why are we doing it this way? This just seems so weird. I'm like, look, when we build your house, we'll build it your way, but we're building for the customer right now. So the customer doesn't want that, or they want this or whatever it is. And we kind of go that direction. That's all about the planning. We were actually talking about that. Michael, that a lot of the elements that we work with have to be planned for at the very beginning, the infant stages of the idea that, hey, I want a house and this is what I want in it. But there's certain elements that customers don't mention to you. Like they won't say, I want a water heater. They just expect they're going to have one, or, we got to be able to heat the water. Right. So, but as you've done building and we're all kind of in this whole area of like trying to work with customers on stuff, you have to have the bare minimums. You need running water. You need, if you're out in the country, you're going to need a well. You're going to need a septic system. So all those are in the planning stages. And when you're in the city, then, things look a little different. It's like, hey, you got to connect to the city sewer and water. And then you still need a water heater. What that looks like, that could be a Renai. It could be tank, or it could be tankless. It could be instant. If you go instant, and you're going to go electric, you got to have a bigger electrical panel. So all these things are in the planning stages. And when you accidentally omit one of those items, things get pretty ugly when you're like, okay, well, we didn't plan for the water heater. Where does it go?
Yeah, and
Can we have a little bit of space in your closet? No.
Yeah,
It's my closet.
with electric cars this day and time, I can't see myself as getting one because I'd like to be able to drive to Florida without having to make
Without stopping
multiple
for
charges.
like 50
But
times.
some people do, and I got a friend that lives up in Stone. It's one up there, Brickshire, and they got 2 electric cars, and they barely, because that house was built many years ago, and they barely had enough panel to be able to get 2 charging ports because they had to have one on each side of the garage. And so, like Alvin said, you gotta, when you're talking to somebody, you gotta talk to somebody like Alvin that's going to sit you down. He's got so much experience. There's not really a checklist because his mind is already tuned into what we need to talk about. And you got to talk about things. Okay, well, you want what kind of siding you want, what kind of insulation you want. You can get all these different options, and they go into the cost. And for instance, nobody hardly at all that I've seen recently do 8 foot ceilings in a house. They're all minimum of 9. Some of them are 10. And so, you got to get all these things resolved because you don't get a price together on the house. One thing that I've been talking to Cindy about that she does is in her pest control, and I know Alvin does this in his house. The best way to really, termites are very tricky devils,
Yes, they are.
and you should treat the soil. A lot of people don't do that anymore.
Right.
They put the box on, they spray the inside where the plate is before the insulation goes in, and call it close. Well, you got to get it. You got to put up multiple lines of defense. And I know in talking with Alvin and listening to him about it, spray the dirt, you spray the foundation, then you spray before the insulation goes in. And you've done everything you can. But always keep up with your termite warranties and renewals.
Right. Yep.
Because that's not here forever. And I'm sure that with Alvin's experience, he knows what he's got to do with that.
Well, one thing to also consider is maybe you're only going to be in that house for 3-4 years, and to pass that on to the buyer is golden. To be saying, hey, we've kept up with it. Here's the termite certificate or whatever. But hey, if you're listening, give us a shout, 757-627-7979. That's 757-627-7979. If you call in, we're going to give you a coffee certificate. We also we were thinking about some questions we were going to ask, and one that I had. Yeah, so we're going to go to a break for a second. So sorry to cut this short, but we'll be back in just a second. Give us a call, 757-627-797. This is the 757 House Whisperer Show.
Thanks a lot.
News Talk 790 WNIS.
Welcome back to 757 House Whisperer Show, brought to you by Worley's Home Services. They do plumbing, heating, electrical, crawl space encapsulation, attic insulation, and spray foam. My name is Michael Davenport. Chuck is on assignment along with his wife, Julie, down in Florida. And I am the one owner with Barry Taylor of CVP Windows and Doors. We are a manufacturer in the Hampton Roads that services the builder community as well as the residential community. And we'd like to hear from builders that would like to talk to us about getting a free quote on their next project. Alvin, who is here with us tonight, uses our windows, used them in our buddy's house, Chuck Worley here, and would like to help you out with anything. We also service Therma-Tru doors.
And I'm Cindy Rao, owner operator of Alpha Pest Solutions. We've been in business now for 15 years. We do take care of anything that creeps and crawls. We also do inspections for real estate transactions. So if you're buying or selling your home, thinking about buying and selling, buying your home or buying a home or selling yours, give us a call. We do free inspections. We're happy to come out, take a look, and see if everything is going good in your crawl space. But always make sure you have someone like me that's going to take a look at your crawl space at least once a year to make sure that you don't have anything creeping or crawling or eating at your house. I did have one of my people call me this week. He knew that he had carpenter bees. I said, well, how do you know? He said, I caught them on my Ring camera. My ring captured them, and I know I got carpenter bees.
They're wanting in. They're ringing the door. Let me in.
And I'm like, that's super cool. He sent me the video, so I've got a carpenter bee at his front door ringing the bell.
All right, it looks like we might have a caller. So let me finish out with the intro here. My name is Albin with Albin Co. We specialize in remodels. So we'll do kitchens, baths, additions. For those looking to build, we also do that. I would like to also introduce Jack with Legacy Painting. They specialize in commercial residential painting. They'll also do drywall repair and also So yeah, if you got a house and you need to get it painted, he'll take care of it for you.
Mhm. Yep.
He'll wind it up with you. And we got a couple of people on the phone. I'd like to mention right now that any caller in to the show tonight will get a coffee card. We'll have your name and address, phone number, and what have you to be able to hook you up with that. And we're going to move on to John here.
Let me
and-
mention that phone number. That's
Oh, yeah.
757-627-7979. Please give us a call.
Here we go. We got 3 callers. Let's go to John in Hertford, North Carolina, with an installation question. You there, John?
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Can you hear me?
John.
Yes, sir. I recently built a 30 by 70 metal building, and about 3 or 4 years ago, I got my attic spray foam, which I loved, but I have a hard time talking to my wife and let me spend that kind of money on that building, though. So I was looking to
That's
get
a big
the,
man cave,
face-
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, careful. She might make
Yeah.
you live in it.
That's why he wants to
she's already
insulate.
threatened. So, but I got a chance to get a good price on 2-inch faced foam board insulation, and I was wondering, is that better than, like, I had a neighbor that put bad insulation in his recent building. I want to prevent moisture. So, is that faced bad or the foam insulation any good to keep moisture away, or is it
Well,
useless, or
let
what?
me ask you a question about that. So, if you're talking about sticking it against the outside of a metal building, let me just clarify. Is that what you're trying to do? Is put it against the backside of the metal building?
The inside wall.
I've done some research. Some people seem to do it. Some people say never do it. Leave an air gap. And I was wondering,
Well, there's
which
2
way.
things that you
People do
need to be
both.
careful of. Is if you put the insulation board in there, um, air needs that way out. So it needs to be able to get to the attic if you're going to do it that way. If you're going to put spray foam to the bottom of the roof deck, which I think you said you already did, is that correct?
No, it'll be all
Okay.
foam everywhere.
Attic.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, she won't let me
So
do that.
really, from what I understand with metal, is you're going to want to spray it directly to the metal to make sure there is absolutely no air gap between the metal and the foam, because you don't want moisture to build up in there. So a lot of people doing these Connex boxes that are like, basically they're either making workshops out of them or whatever. There's products out there. There's one called InsoFast. You might have heard of it. Great product, but if there's even the slightest bit of gap between the metal and that InsoFast panel, you're going to have issues. So direct connection to that metal is going to be really important.
Okay. Even if the metal's ribbed and has like airflow behind, 'cause
Well,
it's
if you
like a
have
corrugated-
airflow, where's it going to go? Because I mean, if you're giving it airflow, then you're allowing cold air to move
Mhm.
on the back side of the panel and then come
Okay.
up into the attic area. So if you're sealing off the ceiling, meaning your insulation is going to be in the ceiling of the building, then that
Yeah.
would be fine, because you could allow the airflow to move up and into the attic, and then you can vent the attic. But if you're talking about a whole house or a whole building encapsulation, and you're going to want air to move, where is it going to move? I'm asking, because you're designing this, so I'm just asking you, do you have a plan for how that air is going to get out the top?
There is a vent up there, ridge vent on the building, but that's about it. I mean, I guess I would.
But
I
if
didn't know I should-
if there's no ceiling insulation and you got a ridge vent and you're insulating with spray foam, you're not going to want a ridge vent anymore, because that you're going to have cold air. So when you
Oh, I
spray
was just
foam
gonna
the
do panels,
outside of the wall and you spray foam the ceiling of the roof, you're going to eliminate the actual ventilation at the ridge, unless I'm misunderstanding what you're wanting to do.
I wasn't going to spray foam anything. I was looking for the next best other than spray
Oh,
foam. It's
okay.
Like if I were
So
to, if I were to 2-inch insulation the whole way of the foam board, I would do the roof, and because it'd be an open building, roof and the side walls.
Okay, so you're saying, and just we basically you're gonna put insulation in the ceiling, or you're gonna put it against the roof deck?
All of it.
It's just against the side of the metal building, just
Right.
along the framing. So
Okay, so if you're gonna do that, where's your insulation for the ceiling area? Where are you gonna do that?
that's where I'm not going to be. It's just going to be an open building, sir. It's not going to be like a ceiling in the building. It's just an open.
Well-
It's just a metal building, like a hobby shop.
Okay, so there is no ceiling. So when you say open, you
Correct.
don't, you basically have a vaulted ceiling, is what you're saying. So
Correct, yes, sir.
if it's a vaulted ceiling, as long as you allow the air to move up the outside wall a, underneath the insulation at the roof and out, and that's all sealed off, meaning the insulation is sealed, you could do what you're talking about, but you'd have to have a way
Okay.
for air to move in at the bottom of that wall too. So
There
but-
should be. So there's like a little gap there between that and the rack guard they installed. So there's minor,
I mean, it's
minor
there's
gaps. So.
I mean, we could talk on this all day long. There's people in different camps on this, and I would say you have some that would say spray foam it. Other people would say don't. So,
Yeah.
but if you got a good price on spray foam, I would say that's the direction I would go.
That would be
Okay.
the most positive. Yeah.
So, but listen, thank you for calling in, and I can talk
Yep.
to you a little bit more off air about that. But great question. You will get a coffee card for that, and again, thanks a lot.
Talk 790 WNIS.
Back to the 757 Houseboat Square Show, brought to you by Worley's Home Services. And we have a special public service announcement that Cindy's going to do right now for us.
Yes. So, as business owners, it's very important for us all to give back to our communities. So, with that being said, I'm a Rotarian. I belong to the Smithfield Rotary Club, and we are sponsoring our second annual Mental Health Expo. That's going to be held on April 30th at the Smithfield Center. It will be from 6 to 8. We will have 45 plus vendors or sources of information to help with different types of mental health issues. It's free to the public. Everyone is invited. So if you know of somebody, have a friend, family member, or even yourself that maybe have some issues with that sort of thing, let's try to do what we could all do to help people with those issues so that we don't make that a phobia. We make it something that we can help one person at a time.
And appreciate that,
Yep.
Cindy. It's a very important thing in this day and time.
yeah.
We had challenges with COVID that led to a lot of things, and we continued those issues. We're going to move now to Jim in Virginia Beach, and Jim has an HVAC question. I'm sure between the three of us, we are not Chuck, but we can answer those questions. Jim, how you doing today?
Good, thank you. I actually have two questions. My first one is I'd like to get your opinion on mixing a heat pump with the air handler. I'm in a home, private home. With the heat pump was replaced last year, but the air handler wasn't. And then they replaced the heat pump with a Goodman, and I have a Trane air handler, and I didn't know at the time if that was good or bad, but now I'm finding out some opinions, they say that's not a good thing.
Well,
So I just wonder.
I personally do not like mixing equipment. The Goodman would have offered a better value in using it because it's less expensive than a Trane would have been. The air handler, now I'm going to get some from Alvin too. The air handler is just a means of the system transferring and exchanging the warm air and cool air and depositing the other air outside, whether it's this deposits cold air outside in the winter and it deposits warm air outside in the summer, and you can feel that on your system. What are your thoughts on that, Alvin?
Well, I'm pretty sure Chuck's going to say stay with one. I'd say Chuck because Chuck's, he's the founder of the show. He's with Worley Home Services. He owns Worley Home Services, and they specialize in heating and air. He's probably going to say, yeah, let's stick with the same system. Could you do this for a short period of time? Maybe you're just doing a small, hey, we're going to stretch this out a little bit, maybe make it a little less painful financially. I'd say you're probably fine because, again, what Michael brought up is the air handler is just a means for expanding the Freon in there. Basically, what happens is you compress the Freon outside. That's what the heat pump's going to do, and then move it into over the evaporators coils, and basically it's just going to release it all at once and blow air across that to get it into your house. So could it work? I don't see why not. Basically maybe the biggest part of that is maybe your thermostat may have a hard time communicating, to two different languages,
Yeah, that's a question
So-
I have. So I mean, I've listened to a lot of talk and about the different sizes of the unit. So is there a different size air handler? Does every air handler?
Well, yeah, they're all going to be different
So if they're
size,
not-
but
they're
I
not
mean, if you're
sized
gonna
properly,
if you're
that's
gonna
a
pull
problem?
out if you're gonna pull out a system in a house that's 2 tons, the air handler is going to be sized accordingly.
match
But
So
if it isn't, then that could be a problem.
yeah, but
Definitely.
I mean, he's pulling out a system out of the house, so hopefully they put back something
Hopefully.
very similar. But we'll get Chuck to get back to you on that. He's going to be the resident expert in that area, and he would love to help you out. He just is not present today. Yeah. So, what was your other question?
My second question is, what is an average price to replace the entire system? You know what I mean? The difference between a Cadillac and maybe a Chevrolet.
Well, that's difficult to answer because when
Yeah.
you say entire system, that would include the ductwork, and all that stuff. So when you say system, if you're just talking about replacing, I
Inside
guess
and outside.
we don't
units.
want to speak for Chuck because he's the
Yeah.
one that's going
Right.
to be doing that.
And
but I
he
mean,
will
if
have that good, better, best option. too.
good, better, best.
Mhm.
It depends on where the system is, how hard it's to get to. Some of these, I mean, as a builder, I've seen some pretty crazy stuff where they got that unit like tucked away somewhere. And so we got to do a lot of detaching of main trunk lines sometimes. So, in fairness to us, it's probably not something we're not going to say on air, but that would be an answer that Chuck can give you.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
thing about it too is if you've got a crawl space, how old is your house?
It's 25 years,
Okay,
Mhm.
is it built on a crawl space or a slab?
crawl space.
Okay, a lot of times 25 years ago, some builders didn't provide you with crawl space that was workable, if you will.
Mhm.
And a crowded crawl space, it makes it difficult to change the
Yeah,
ductwork.
work on it.
Also, you got it in and out of the crawl space door. Where is that located? There's a lot of stuff that goes.
He may not
into
be
the
wanting to
price.
change when
Yeah.
you say system, were you saying change the ductwork too, or are you just saying that
Well, I think the ductwork's fine.
okay.
It's the air handler and the heat pump I was thinking of replacing.
Well, if it's 25 years old, you said 25, right?
Yeah.
So if the ductwork has been there for 25 years, the ductwork is no long. It's not. I'm not saying it's past its life, but it's not going to be insulated to today's
Or
standards.
efficient. It's just not going to be efficient.
And the other thing too is that you got to remember when you look at the more expensive systems, Trane and American Standard probably are near the very top, and then Goodman is in the middle to the lower side. Root is kind of in the middle. So you'll find different price ranges, and that just depends on the SEER that you want to get, which SEER tells how efficient it is, and SEERs go up to 20 plus now. I mean, it's just code requires a new construction around 14 point something or other.
Yeah, aren't they getting rid of those
So-
lower SEER units?
Well, you can go with it, but the building code is not going to
Okay.
approve it. But you need to make sure that you have a qualified guy. I hope that answers your question, buddy. Don't forget, make sure you have left your information to get your card. And we're going to move into.
Then we'll
Jim.
reach out to you off air.
Yeah, we'll reach into Jim in North Carolina. He has a termite tankless water heater question. Jim, are you there?
Hello,
Hey,
I'm
how are you?
here.
So are we.
Hey, I've got there's a couple of things. The guy from Hertford, when he's talking about a metal building, there's a skin of insulation that they put on the underside of that metal, so you can't spray foam right on top of that. You'd have to take that skin of insulation off.
Well, you would, and he did not mention that the
Okay.
building had any
Yeah,
insulation
well, I mean,
in
if
it,
it's
but
a standard metal
that's
building,
an
it's gonna
excellent
have
point.
Well,
Excellent point.
Yeah.
on that point, I recently serviced a building that was spray foamed, and that building has been standing for probably 15, 20 years, and it was sprayed with a closed cell insulation on the backside of the metal panel for the walls. in the back, in the bottom of the roof deck. Absolutely nothing wrong with that structure whatsoever. Now, it's a non-vented structure because of the way it's designed, but yeah, it's an awesome setup.
Well, my
and
entire
that
house is, I've got spray foam in the walls and the ceiling everywhere. Everywhere is spray foam. That's
Yeah.
the only way. We built the house a couple of years ago, and that's the way to go. And then I was going to say, we looked at the Renai, the tankless stuff, and if you don't have gas, whether it's propane or natural gas, it's not worth it. It's not efficient. You know what I mean?
Oh
I would
yeah,
agree.
you get one of those
Natural gas
electric
or
units,
propane
man. It
make
takes up
it
one whole
very,
panel.
very efficient.
It's like, like 100 watts just to to run that thing.
Yeah,
Or, excuse me, 100 amps.
amps. Yeah, you're right about that though.
Yeah.
And natural
Yeah.
gas is
And then-
much more cost effective
And
than
propane.
propane.
I
Yeah.
have propane.
I said 100
And then the
amps. It
last
could be
thing,
less than that.
I
But
always like when we built our house. I did the research on because we were on a slab, and I did the research on the termite stuff. And Termidor is by far the best product to use.
It
Not
is.
everybody uses it,
That's all I
but
use.
Termidor, by my
Yeah.
research, it's like 99.6% effective
Yep.
for
You
like
use that
25 years.
Yep.
And the
the
reason
good
they
stuff.
don't use it is
It's more expensive.
Exactly.
That's why. I mean, that's all
I
I
tell you
use
what,
because I don't want callbacks. That's
I'm
all I
glad
use.
you did your
I-
research
Yeah.
because you protected yourself by doing that.
Yeah.
Because some builders that are borderline with certain things, they don't think about that
Mhm.
for the customer long term.
I will say,
Oh, without a doubt,
you know,
there's no doubt most builders go with whatever their regular guy goes. But when I was calling around getting prices, it's like some of them didn't even have it, wouldn't even
Right.
offer it.
Oh, they
Right.
don't.
Got
I don't
they,
wanna-
They
I-
just
So
want to
it's
do it
like-
cheap, not right, cheap.
And a lot of them want you to do the bait systems, which is like, come on,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That doesn't
We-
work. That's a money grab for everybody out there that has
yeah,
termite
that's right.
patients. It's
That's
a money
right.
grab.
Anything for
Yeah.
a rerecurring revenue, but
Right.
yeah, that was
Exactly.
it. So yeah, the spray foam is great when you spray it on the deck, or right on the plywood. It is absolutely great. The only other thing, if you've got a crawl space and you do an encapsulation, they normally make you keep an inch or two
3
open
inches.
border
Right.
so the termite guy can come
Yep.
in and look.
Yep. Because we won't inspect it if it's all covered.
You need
Right.
a 3-inch strip around the top of the block.
Is it 3 inch?
because-
Okay, I got you.
Right.
Yeah,
And,
for,
and there
termite
are
traps.
termite gals too.
Yeah.
Just so
well,
you know.
listen. So thanks for
Not just
calling
guys.
in. Good information.
Yep.
Really good
Yeah.
information. I do want to touch
Yeah, man.
one more second on the spray foam, and that is you got to be careful with who you're getting in there to do it, because there is a application rate of when you want to put that on. And my understanding is if you apply at the wrong speed, I'm talking about making sure you vet your spray
Your
foam
sprayer.
guys in, because if they don't know what they're doing, you
Yep.
can get a lot of outgassing. You can get chemicals that don't actually cure in there. I've seen some bad stuff watching some documentaries on that.
Yeah.
And I haven't personally ran into this, but because it's starting to become more and more prevalent in the market, I would say just be careful. Make sure the guys are certified. They know what
Get
they're
a
doing, all
license,
that
get
stuff.
the insurance. I talked
Yeah.
to a guy today who had 15 trees brought down, and when he had the trees brought down, they left it all right there in his property.
That's pathetic.
And now he's
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah,
to
the other
one-
thing with spray foam is the sometimes they want you fire rated.
hmm
Yeah, the one thing too about the spray foam, it makes a big difference, and we'll make this comment. We got to go to break. I did a house once, 5,000 square feet. It was a Prada Homes house in York County. We did encapsulated the crawl. We did spray foam in the sidewalls and underneath the roof deck. And in that 5,000 square feet, the lady kept it hot in the winter and cold in the summer. And I kept a record for 2 years. We had 19 SEER dual stage compressors on the heating system, and I had a $135 average per month utility bill on a house that big.
Oh man,
So
That's
you were
beautiful.
right. Spray foam is the key. And I appreciate your call tonight, buddy. We're going to cut you loose and go to break.
man.
Thank you so much for on
All right,
757 House Whisper. Take care. Have a good one.
Talk 790 WNIS.
Welcome back to the 757 House Whisperer Show, brought to you by Worley's Home Services. They do heating, plumbing, electrical. They do crawl space encapsulation, insulation, and foam insulation. My name is Michael Davenport. Chuck and his beautiful wife, Julie, are on assignment in Florida. And we are here, the team taking it for the bigger cause. I am a partner at CVP Windows and Doors. We do windows. We make them right here in Hampton Roads for the building community as well as the home community. We will install them if you want, or you can buy them and have your guy install them if you want. We do also Therma-Tru doors, and I'm going to let the team introduce themselves before we go to Alan at Buckrow.
Thanks, Mike. I'm Cindy Rao, owner-operator, Alpha Pest Solutions, full-service termite and moisture and exterminating company. Been in business for 15 years and happy to serve the community. Albin.
Hey, yeah, my name is Albin. I'm with Albin Co. We specialize in remodels, kitchens, baths. We can do whole house remodels. And so reach out to us if you're starting to get itchy about a new remodel that you're thinking about in your house. And I'd like to introduce Jack with Legacy Painting. He is out today. He was going to be here, but last minute had to make a decision to put his customer in front of the show, which we understand. Customers
Absolutely.
come first.
Yep.
So he's got something he's got to take care of. Wasn't an emergency, but he definitely trying to get some numbers to a customer. So if you can, give us a shout, 757-627-7979. That's 757-627-7979. We got a caller.
Yeah, Alan over at Buckrow Beach. Cindy's here to answer that pest control question.
how
Come
can
on,
we-
bring it on, buddy.
Guess what? I
Chicken
have a
butt.
pest control question. But I also have a question about the house. And I'm famous on WNIS, by the way, and I always take the comments off the air. Tina, who's like my daughter, reminded me that to tell you all that I'm taking my comments off the air. But here it goes. I got two. One is I moved in with my elderly father here in Buckrow Beach about the middle of the summertime, and when it was hot, and here and there, I saw a couple of those big bugs, okay? This is the summertime now. And one time, I'm not positive, I could swear, but I'm not positive, I thought I saw one of them coming out of the vent on the floor in the kitchen, okay? Now, here's the other thing. Now, in the last couple months living with my elderly father, I guess I'm a caretaker or whatever, but you know those boxes that look like screens? This is a very big house with like 4 bathrooms. It's huge in Buckrow Beach. But in the last couple months, here and there, just the other day, 2 of those boxes, like at the bottom of the house that look like screens, are laying on the ground. And I keep having to stick them back in the holes. And I'm just wondering, what's going on underneath my dad's house? Is there a possibility that there's bugs down there? And why are those outside, just a couple of them, screen box things keep coming out and laying on the ground? And I'll take your comments off the air.
Okay. So when you talk about the large bugs, I'm assuming these are going to be American roaches, wood roaches, water bugs, as people like to call them that. They are attracted to rotting wood. So leaf debris, if you've got gutters that are filled up with leaf debris, if you've got a wood pile around, if you've got leaf debris and that sort of thing up against the foundation of the home, they're attracted to that in wet conditions. So that's something to take a look at. Can you have bugs in your crawl space? Absolutely. I've never been in one that doesn't have a bug in it. So they could be underneath the crawl space, yes. The things that you're seeing laying on the ground outside, those are vents. So you could have something in there like rodents or something like that. They're pushing the vents out as they're coming and going from there. Or if they're not properly secured, they can just fall out. So, I mean, we could come secure those for you. You could take spray foam, go inside the crawl space and do that yourself if you'd like. But we are happy to come out and take a look at you, do an inspection and make recommendations for treatments and for repairs.
Good deal. I hope we got your questions answered. And again, we can talk to you further
Yep.
off air. And
Inspections are free.
yeah,
We're
so,
happy to come out and take a
so
look.
good. It's not often we hear about vents popping out, popping out of the
I
house.
see it a
but-
lot.
But
see it a lot.
it sounds to me like you might have a rodent that's
Yep.
trying to, whether it be a small one or medium sized one, it could be snakes.
But I'm
it
not
could be
afraid
a lot
of
of
them,
other
so
things.
there's
So
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
snakes do like to go in a crawl
Yes, they
space,
do.
especially in the winter. I had a
And when they're
guy
shedding their skins,
You
they'll
know,
do it.
he almost stood up and tore out the hardwood floor above his head one time. He was calling an emergency over the radio. He found a black snake.
So, last week, and I think we just got a couple seconds here to wrap up. And I just had this one thing I wanted to follow up on with the last time we talked was water heaters. We find them in the attic a lot. And so one of the things that my theory about why they end up there is because of planning. A lot of people will basically plan out a house, an estate or whatever, and then the water heater's never thought of. So it ends up in the attic. Or you got an older house that didn't have water at all. And so, they didn't have space for that when they actually came in and put water in the house. So that's kind of my thought on that. It just ends up in the attic.
Yeah.
So, hey, listen, we are grateful for the callers we had. And we are looking for the next show. We really enjoy talking to each other and talking to you guys. Reach out to us at 757-955-9415. You can text or call. That's open all the time. We'll take your calls there. 757-955-9415. Look at us on YouTube, or you can go to YouTube, 757housewhisper.com, and we'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
Say who you are.
Oh, my name is Albin with Albin Co. And Jack with Legacy Painting.
Cindy with Alpha Pest Solutions.
And Michael Davenport, CVP Windows and Doors. And our show is brought to you by Worley Home Services. Chuck and Chase Worley are the owners, and they are heating, plumbing, electrical, air conditioning. They do crawl space encapsulation. They do attic installation and foam installation. It's great having you guys here tonight.
Yeah,
everybody.
great questions. Thank you.
It's great. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
The preceding program was sponsored and paid for by Worley Home Services, who's entirely responsible for its content.